Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Just wanted to say that I've had a lot of fun making these videos, and I really appreciate the support you've been showing in the comments. Wait, hold on, I'm not done talking. The character animations are still excellent, and it's wonderful to see. Akechi continues to crush it with his performance, and the self-aware discussion of previous volumes is pretty charming. The character of the Curious Cat makes for a good excuse to bring it up, and most of it worked for me. Aaron's delivery for the
You asked about the origins of Remnant.
line is amazing, and I love it. The Herbalist has a cool visual design, a nice voice actor, and neat dialogue. Other than that, I really don't have much else to say. I like him. Bear with me while I fanboy about the sound design again, because it's still one of my favorite things about this volume. There's a shot from inside a jar, and the acoustics of the scene change for just those few seconds.
It is what I am.
They didn't have to do that, but it adds so much. I'm so glad they did. This jingly entrance is tactile and has lots of character. But of course, I gotta talk about this sequence. There's a spacious reverb throughout the whole scene, and it sounds great.
Like I said, it's simple.
The musical score is well prioritized and chimes in at just the right times. But during Ruby's turn, there's a remarkably subtle bit crush effect that modifies the echo. They use it very selectively to emphasize certain words and phrases. I mean, just listen.
Against an invincible monster that took your mother.
It's so different and cool. As for the contents of the scene itself, I thought it was pretty good. These aren't earth-shattering revelations by any means, but it's atmospheric and it does a respectable job of displaying how these characters have developed. It also really brought to my attention just how much these 4 voice actors have improved over the years, because they essentially play 2 characters at the same time and they do a wonderful job. Erin especially stood out to me. Her performance was nuanced, but there is a clear distinction between these 2 characters. I will say it could have been a bit longer, and the scene does lean a bit too close to cliche sappy territory for my taste, but I can almost entirely forgive that because it immediately does a complete 180 when we switch to Ruby, who, and this feels really weird to say, is probably the best part of the entire episode for me. Look, I'm not going to spoil my entire bingo board on the off chance that I milk it for content later, but one of my predictions stipulates that Ruby will deliver a shallow motivational speech to cheer people up. I'm glad to be wrong on this front because almost every word that comes out of Ruby's mouth is so well considered that I just don't know what to do with myself. There's still plenty of time to ruin it, mind you, but I'm feeling pretty good about this direction so far. Let's see if they keep it going. The animation is pretty great this episode, but there were a couple of visual hiccups that distracted me. There's absolutely no transition between these ground textures, and this one is stretched to hell. You're not Game Freak. This isn't Pokemon Scarlet. There is no excuse for this. The color grade in the garden renders Blake's makeup as green, and it looks funny. And there's a couple of close-ups that feel really awkward to me. Now, in the forest, there would have been some pretty natural suspense when they heard the herbalist humming to himself. By avoiding dialogue and letting the sounds speak for themselves, tension and mystery would build organically. But Yang comments on the sound 100 milliseconds after it starts, which isn't nearly enough time for someone to process information.
Hey, do you hear that?
Back in Volume 6, when Ruby heard the fence, the sound was audible much earlier, so her reaction made sense.
But where's that humming coming from?
Blake, you're a cat. You have hyperdimensional hearing, and the leaf pile is 5 yards away. You absolute donut.
So yeah, my complaints about Yang, Blake, and Weiss in general are largely the same as Chapter 3. There's just not a lot of intention behind their dialogue beyond exposition, and their presence just annoys me.
Did that CL girl from the Vital Festival ever come back in a notable way?
Wait,
CL? What? This line makes absolutely no sense.
a brief reminder as to who CL is, since even I, a Ruby fan of 7 years, had to look it up. CL was Penny's teammate during the Vital Festival in Volume 3. She appeared exclusively in Chapter 5, and she had 4 speaking lines adding up to a cumulative screen presence of 79 seconds. Her only memorable traits were checking her watch and not wanting to be late, which ties her into the Alice in Wonderland theme of Volume 9 by association, if you squint really hard and bash yourself in the face with a fry pan. But now I pose a question.
Why CL? What passive fan of the show is supposed to remember her?
I'm sorry, this line is very distracting because it doesn't even make sense in universe. The cat asked about Remnant. The Vital Festival, Ozma's reincarnation, and Atlas falling are all pertinent to the story.
But at what point would she be brought up in the conversation? Help me understand.
The herbalist falling through the floor was weird. It genuinely felt like they interrupted his line, and I couldn't help but laugh a little bit. I know I complained a bunch, but these are mostly nitpicks, and I just want to clarify that Chapter 4 was good, and I had a fun time with it. It's a step back from the last one for sure, and there isn't really much to it, but downtime is essential to pacing, and I don't really have much reason to complain about it. I imagine it's going to work really well when you watch these chapters back to back as one long movie, so if you hail from the future and you just got done binge watching Volume 9, leave a comment. I'm curious to see how well this prediction ages. Catch you later.